Councilmember Sandra Fleming Crosby will lead us in our
Heavenly Father, we thank you for life, health, and strength. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving us another opportunity, Lord, to be here in this meeting for our concern about our neighbors, our concern about the city of Lake City. We pray that, Heavenly Father, you'll bless each and every one that here tonight want to desire, Lord, and have concern about how our well-being for the growth of Lake City. We pray that, Heavenly Father, you'll bless each and every one of us in your name. Amen. Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you please call the council members?
Councilmember Richard Cook.
Present.
Councilmember Nicole Singletary.
Present.
Councilmember Sandra Fleming Crosby. Mayor Pro Tem Billy Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Wilhelmina Scott.
Here.
Councilmember Peggy Sednick.
Here.
Mayor Anderson, I found there to be a quorum present.
Thank you. At this time, we need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Properly moved in second. All those in favor by show of hands. Next item is the approval of our minutes and summaries from Thursday, May 21st, 2019 budget work session, and Tuesday, June 11th, 2019 regular city council meeting, and Thursday, June 27th, 2019 special city council meeting.
Move to approve.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next is our public comment period. Notes on comment period. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per person, and no personal or verbal attacks will be entertained. The council is interested in hearing your concerns, but speakers should not expect council action or deliberation on subject matter brought up during the public comment period. Topics requiring further investigation will be referred to the city administrator and may be scheduled for a future agenda. Please state your name and address for the record when you come forward. Okay, if none, then we'll go into our presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Late last month, the City of Lake City received the Tree City USA designation. It was a very low-key presentation, but this has been for several years in a row that we've been recognized, and this is a national recognition, and the presentation was made by the South Carolina Forestry Commission. But among the criteria is that you have to celebrate Arbor Day, and the state was very impressed with the activities that take place, including, especially with the schools. They felt like we had a very vigorous effort. Also, you must have a tree board, which we do, take care of public trees, and also spend $1 per capita on arbor-related activities. So this was a very special designation, and wanted to make sure that you all knew. Unfortunately, tonight, the person from the Forestry Commission could not be here. So, all right. All right, and now we will have recreation presentations. First, I would like to actually ask Miss Cynthia Millette, who is our Director of Recreation and Tourism, and just want to recognize her because long after a lot of us are home and relaxing, she's at late night baseball games, football games, and as a testament to this, about a week and a half ago or so, one of the teams actually got together and recognized her, surprised her with a cookout and made a presentation. And so I want us, if at all possible, because she's been doing this, she's been in the game for a minute. I think I might have been in elementary school, but if we could really give her a round of applause, because I don't think I could do anything that long. So. Thank you for what you do, and thank you to the community that recognized you. So I know you have some recognitions of your own?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Oh, Cynthia, she wants you to smile. Okay.
Okay, the coaches are here that presented this plant to me. Coach Craig Cooper right here and Coach Amanda Carr Waterman, if they would stand, because they were the ones that went to me and surprised me with this plant. Okay, I'm sorry. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to present these awards to two very deserving individuals. Both individuals were contacted and they were notified as to the proper time to be here, but I got a phone call a few minutes ago from Michael Donovan Nero. He's a truck driver, and sometimes he cannot make his own schedule. So right now he's between Florence and Lake City trying to get here, but I don't think he's going to make it. But our first award is presented to Michael Donovan Nero for dedicated services rendered to the youth athletic programs of the Lake City Recreation and Tourism Department. We appreciate you, July the 9th, 2019. And just to tell you briefly about Michael Donovan Nero. He's a young man that's around the ball games all the time. If he sees anybody throw some paper on the ground, he will say, "Why did you put that paper on the ground when the garbage can is right there? You need to pick it up." And when he says pick it up, they'll pick it up and put it in the can. Another thing that he do, he supports the teams to the highest. He has been paying for whole teams to eat at the concession stand, especially the T-ball, the 4- and 5-year-olds. We've had teams that came from Williamsburg County and other areas to play, and he fed their entire team as well as Lake City team. So he don't mind spending money to help the youth, and we really appreciate him. So let's give him a round of applause. This second award is presented to a young teenager who has been coaching at the Recreation Department for about 3 years. He coaches youth football, basketball, and girls softball. He works along with Coach Craig Cooper. As a teenager, there's a lot of things that he could be doing other than participating with the Recreation Department. And he does a fantastic job. And I think his whole family is here. Right now, everybody except him, he's riding with his grandfather and his grandmother. And I don't know why, but he's supposed to be here. But we would like to recognize Jeremiah Willis for his dedicated and outstanding services as a youth coach for the Recreation Department. And if Jeremiah's family will stand, his mom, his little sister, and his stepfather, and his brother, his uncle, everybody but Jeremiah.
Thank you, baby.
Make him happy.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Judge Frierson, if you are here, okay. All right, so this, now we are at employee recognition, and we let this young man get away without actually recognizing him when he resigned from the bench to pursue other opportunities, so we'd like to have Judge Thompson come up, if you want, as well as his support system
Yeah.
and helpmate, his wife.
Mayor, Council, good evening.
Evening.
Citizens, good evening. Reverend Judge Jacob Melton. This is a token of appreciation for your service as Associate Municipal Judge from May 2015 to May 2019. Judge Thompson has decided to answer a higher call. He is pastoring not one, not two, but 3 churches in 3 different locations: Lake City, Scranton, and Olathe. So I think when King James did his version of the Bible, he left out one of the Beatitudes. Blessed are the pastors and people who work with the public; they should go straight to heaven. But this is presented to Judge Jacob Mel Thompson in appreciation for your service to the citizens of Lake City, South Carolina, May 2015, May 2019. Thank you very much. We debated everything from Proverbs to politics and would always walk away friends. So this is an awesome man right here. So thank you.
Mayor, Council, if you would give me just a second. Your lives are full of ups and downs. We all have them. We all face them. But these individuals here gave me a second chance. They brought me into their fold. They treated me like one of them. They loved me like a brother. And I just wanted to tell you thank you for what you've done for me. Thank you for the love that you showed me and the support that each of you give me. Mayor Anderson, you and I, we talk from time to time, and it's always wonderful. But I just wanted to thank you, and Judge Frison, thank you for everything you've done and the time that we shared together. It was fun. We had a good time. And Stephanie, it was really good to get to meet you and get to see you. So I just want to thank all of y'all. And may God bless each one of you. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, and it gives me pleasure every single meeting. I'll probably just have to move it again. So pleasure to actually recognize our employees. The gentleman that we're going to be bringing up work in our Public Works Department, and I know you've seen them at various times throughout the year, but I wanted to recognize them for cleaning out our ditches and doing this oftentimes by hand, and also a public service announcement for us to keep our community clean and not throw TVs and mattresses and things into our ditches, because that's going to cause us to flood, right? But they get right in there and clean all of this out, and I think oftentimes it's the electeds and the administrators that seem to be the face of the city, but it's really the hardworking employees that are out there getting it done and dealing with snakes and beavers and various farming things like that. But anyway, I wanted to recognize them because we couldn't do what we do really without them, and anytime we can recognize them publicly, we need to do so. So I'm sure they were like, I gotta come there. But first, I'd like to recognize Mr. Julian Washington. He's one of our part-timers and one of the youngsters on the crew, and always willing to do everything. Thank you for what you do. I don't think I've ever seen you out of uniform. If you could. Thank you. And this other gentleman, Mr. Richard Canteen, no job is ever too big or too small. Is Mr. Canteen here? He's giving me an evil eye, y'all. Thank you for what you did. All right, Mr. Troy Nelson. And then Mr. Jackie McFadden. Deputy Public Works Director.
Yeah, Ricky last minute pulled me in, so
That's all right.
these are
Get
my
in with your
wonderful guys.
Get in the middle.
Let me get in the middle, guys. I don't want to sober y'all up.
Thank you all, gentlemen. We appreciate you. And then also, before we get to the actual agenda, we have our next up interns here. Last month, they actually received they were with us for several hours learning about the city, and they are here tonight with Miss Crystal Martinez. And one of the interns has agreed to come up and just maybe talk about what they've learned about the city, because they learned about the budget, so don't all run up here at once now. But, oh, good. Yes, well, if you would want to kind of just explain briefly what the next up intern is.
Hello. I'm here with the Next Up internship. These are our interns, as you can see from their shirts. It's a program of the Greater Lake City Community Resource Center, which is a program of the Lake City Creative Alliance. We selected these students from Carolina Academy and Lake City Early College High School in Cape, and Hannah Pampico. We have someone from Hannah Pampico. So we're just really excited. We are expanding this year. We went from 12 interns to 24 interns, and they have been taking part in things such as homeworks. We've done a tour of downtown. What else have you done? What other great things?
The senior center.
We did a talent show for the senior center, and we learned about Lake City with Miss Snowden and Mayor Anderson. And Kami's going to tell you a little bit about that. Oh, Shanice, you have something you wanted to add to it?
We also got to meet some people that own their own businesses.
And we got to meet people who own their own businesses, exactly. And actually, the interns are interspersed at different offices around the community, so you might see them around as well.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimani Ross, and I am a student. I'm an uprising senior at Lake City High School, and my experience with the internship is really nice. Last month we went and we were at the fire station, and we learned about what our community does. I have some sheets so I can remember everything. So last month we talked about the budgets between like the water and all the work and stuff for the city. And we also learned about what our police station does and how much they help our community out. And we went to the fire station and heard about how the firefighters do their job, making the city, better.
Thank you all. It's just important for the community to see that we are pouring back into our young people, but it also made us see that we need to actually do more in the community as well in educating the public. But it was very well received, and we certainly thank the interns, because they're going to be, hopefully when we're all retired, working and leading the community. So legislatively? Okay. Mayor and Council, good evening. On second and final reading, we have Ordinance 2019.503, an ordinance of the City of Lake City, South Carolina, authorizing the City Police Department to enter into a law enforcement assistance and support agreement with the Atlanta Police Department and other matters related thereto.
Thank you. The floor is now open for a motion to approve ordinance 2019.503 for second and final reading.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.503. Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Ordinance 2019.504, second and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Lake City, South Carolina to authorize a grant of not to exceed $12,000 to the Lake City Development Corporation in order to allow for the dissolution of the corporation and matters related thereto.
Thank you. The floor is now open for a motion to approve the second and final reading of ordinance 2019.504.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.504.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by a show of hands.
All right. Mayor and Council, second and final reading, ordinance 2019.505, an ordinance of the City of Lake City, South Carolina, authorizing the city to extend a 4-month temporary professional services agreement between the City of Lake City and Safe Built Carolinas LLC and other matters thereto by 6 months to December of 2019. Safe Built has been assisting the city with reading plan review, particularly for commercial, and has really just kind of been a good resource as we get our building official up and running. And so it's been a good service. The first four-month contract was in an amount not to exceed $6,000, and over the 4 or 5 month period, it has been approximately a $4,000 contract.
Okay. The floor is now open for approval, second and final reading of ordinance 2019.505.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.505.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or discussion? None, all those in favor by show of hands.
Okay. And Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.506, second and final reading. An ordinance of the City of Lake City, South Carolina, authorizing the City of Lake City to transition the part-time municipal court judge position into one full-time position. Whereas state law allows for you all to appoint one or more full or part-time judges, and as you all know, Judge Thompson has moved on, and so it is my recommendation that the city transition that position into a full-time position.
Okay.
Questions?
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll get the question. Floor is now open for a motion to approve second and final reading of ordinance 2019.506.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.506 for the second reading, final reading.
Floor is now open for questions.
What happens if Judge Bryson's out?
Okay. The at our
June 27th.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I kept so much in my head. At our special called meeting, one of the reasons why we had that was because we needed to transition the clerk into the ministerial recorder position so that she could be trained. But essentially, the ministerial recorder, which all over the municipalities, all over the state, large and small, have that position. They are not someone who's on the bench, but they can execute search warrants and do warrants and other things, subpoenas and things like that. And so we thought that was a very good use. And then you have someone on the bench just in case, well, depth on the bench just in case Judge Frierson moves on, then you've got someone that's actually being trained. And we had to get her in. She had to get in by the 28th of July in order to actually get into classes.
Okay. Any other questions? None, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
Okay. 2019.57, Mayor and Council. This is a first reading ordinance, and the history of this, or the background, is that essentially there are residents living at Daniels and Collins Road who have had, their wells have dried up. They've had multiple wells actually dug or drilled, whatever it is that you do. And we know of at least one, if not two, residents that are actually having to go off-site to bring water to their property. So this is a partnership with the city and the county. Last week, the Florence County Council approved an amount of about not to exceed $8,000 to actually cover all the material costs, and the city would be covering the engineering costs. So that's why we have an amount not to exceed $12,000. So that's essentially the background.
Floor is now open to approve first reading on ordinance 2019.507.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.507, first reading.
Properly moved in second. Ready for questions? If none, all those in favor by show of hands.
All right. Mayor and Council, ordinance 2019.508, first reading. This is essentially an ordinance that would allow city administration to establish and set up an internal service fund specifically for the purpose of a capital replacement plan. This would essentially be a pilot program, which we would be working with the police department, a fleet management program to replace 3 patrol car vehicles in an amount not to exceed $29,000. That $29,000, as you know, Mr. Driggers and I were very conservative with the capital budget this year. This has been funded, but what we're asking is that we are able to actually, instead of outright purchasing one vehicle for $29,000, that we're able to negotiate a lease purchase agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management for 3 patrol cars and have a replacement program. Otherwise, we would not be able to do it. And this would be a multi-year program. Of course, we would come back to you. But what we're hoping is that we'll be able to be in a position to actually look at how this works and then move on to Public Works and get our vehicles, be able to actually fund our vehicles and be in a reasonable replacement program. And this would be for the most high-profile vehicles and the ones that get the high mileage, which would be the patrol vehicles.
Thank you. The floor is now open for a motion to approve the first reading on ordinance 2019.508.
Move to approve ordinance 2019.508, first reading. Second.
Properly moved in second. Any questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands. Next item.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next item, Resolution 2019.349 for approval. This is a resolution that would authorize the purchase of 2 vehicles for the police department not to exceed $72,000. Both vehicles will be purchased consistent with the allowable use of federal forfeiture funds and will not require city funds.
Okay. Thank you. The floor is now open for approval of resolution 2019.349.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2019.349.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor by show of hands.
Thank you. And we've come now to the portion under the city administrative reports, and I will be turning this portion over to a couple of my directors. As you know, we're always being questioned, and rightfully so by the public, about getting information out about utility billing, and very proud of Ms. Tanya Hewell, who has done a utility billing newsletter, and so I'd like her to come up and talk to you all about that briefly. Ms. Hewell?
Good evening, Mayor and Council and citizens. As part of our effort to make sure that we educate the customers and council and staff about what we do in the utility department, we decided to make sure that we put out some information this year moving forward. We started to do just quarterly newsletters or leaflets, but I see that maybe it might be a need for it monthly. So far, we've gotten some favorable feedback in regards to the newsletter. The one that we did for this month, we wanted everyone to understand what the utility bill was, what's calculated on the utility bill, different information that they can find on the bill, what they're actually paying for with the monies that's collected on the bill, because it's not just a water bill, it's a utility bill. And it has what you're charged for your water, your sewer, and sanitation. It'll also let you see what you use on a monthly basis. And you can take an average look at how you're using your water, and it'll help you maybe in conserving some water, or not using as much as you normally would use. In the newsletter, we're going to put a lot of information in it in regards to things that you can do in your home to save water, things you can do in your homes to. With this particular newsletter is, are you hurricane ready? Because we're having a lot of these pop-up storms, and sometimes we're not quite ready when they pop up. So it's just giving you some ideas and some methods that you need to maybe follow. Also, along with some things in regards to water conservation, giving you a little history on how we got our water. And we just talked about doing some on Daniel Road in regards to people's wells running dry, and that's a lot of things that we run into where we have to provide water out to these areas. So again, also it has some frequently asked questions. We'll be changing these questions out monthly to answer some of these pressing concerns that the customers have. And of course, if there's anything that you would like to have go in the newsletter, just let us know, and we'll certainly put it in there. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ewell. And of course, I'm sure you all have seen there's a lot of activity from a development standpoint in the city. And so, as you know, Chief Driggers has been pinch-hitting and running our building department and making sure that everything is running smoothly when it comes to development review and inspections, both commercial and as well as residential. And so he's going to bring you some updates so that when citizens are asking you what's going on, you will know. So we like to keep you updated. Chief Driggers.
Shouldn't take no more than about 3 hours. Just a quick little overview of a couple of things. Starting with the old Bilo, which is the plaza on Brahman there. I'm sure y'all seen the signs and stuff up about the Tractor Supply. Quick project, went through planning, zoning, met all the requirements that they needed. So that's an ongoing quick project. The next one is on Kelly Street, Marion Commons project, as I'm sure y'all aware of. There's been a lot of issues in changing some of the site plan stuff around. The site plan that we have now that was been approved is some green pavers. Did have to go before the Board of Zoning Appeals for a variance, number of parking places because of the lot sizes. Everything's been approved so far with this project. It's still in the works, but wanted to bring you up to speed on it. That's where we're at on that project. Everything's looking pretty good. The next one is Westover Street. I'm sure y'all aware and seen all the activity where the mobile home park used to be. That's Lake City Housing Authority. You have a copy of the plat. Worked on all the details with all the departments. One change on the plat that's not on there, and I haven't got the new one yet. Should have it shortly, but DOT is required that the main entrance, which is the back dead-end street, will actually have to be across from Franklin. That's a DOT requirement. Just met all the requirements all on its own. Just wanted to bring you up to speed on that one so y'all aware of what's going on. So those are 3 projects that's really ongoing. Another view of the townhouse. It's affordable income or affordable housing, but it's more of a townhouse style. So you can see from the diagrams it's going to look a little different. It's going to be a really nice area when they're finished with it. The last one, which is brand new and not on the thing, but we've talked about it. We did meet with Florence County. One of the things that's in the works right now, I hope will be finished by August, is our zoning map will now be in digital format with layers including the historic district. Will be available by our website and hopefully by the county website, but all the information available online. So I've got that, and we have that in the works now, so hopefully very shortly anybody can pull it, click on a parcel, get all the information now right from websites. We're coming into the digital age.
On the two housing projects, what's the number on Main Street and what's the number on West Oak?
40 something on Kelly Street and 50 something, 55 or so on West Oak Street.
Is that a two-story building or West Oak?
All of them's two-story. Yeah, 2 and 3 bedroom, both locations. One thing about Kelly Street is that's for seniors, but seniors start at 50. 55? 55. So the majority of us are seniors.
Speak for yourself.
Does anyone else have
Any questions or anything about any of those projects?
You might not know this, but I noticed a lot of pipe. I mean, big pipe. Is that storm drain that's coming through down Franklin Street?
Yes, that's a storm drain project that's being funded with the penny. It's our last penny project.
Any other questions? No, thank you, Chief.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chief. All right, and right now we're in the process of closing out the fiscal year. So in August, at the next regularly scheduled council meeting, you'll have a year-end analysis of the budget. You'll have year-end financials. But we have a closeout meeting for the 2018 audit next week. So, and the team is working feverishly to close out 2019. So probably for the first time in a long while, we'll actually be on track with all of our financials. And sometime next month, you'll receive the 2018 financial audit. But we will actually be completing that next week with just the review with the auditor. So we're on track financially. And so now we'll be going through the bill list.
We have for approval on our bill list this evening items 1 through 7. You take a quick moment, take a look at them, and then we'll need a motion to approve. Floor is open for a motion. Move to approve bill list items 1 through 7.
Second.
Properly moved in second. Questions or discussion? If none, all in favor by show of hands.
Please come again.